Howdy folks, and welcome to yet another episode of Learn English with Fairytales, a podcast aimed at all levels and all ages learners, both native and non-native speakers, who want to improve their language skills and possibly expand their vocabulary by means of some of the most beautiful stories ever written or told so far. My name is Gaetano Delgado, and the story we'll be taking into account for today's episode is one that will sure enough set you in the mood for the season where all things that were once asleep, lying silent under a foamy white blanket of snow, wake up to longer and warmer days, to wander off again across grassy footpaths, flowery clearings, chirping woods, and fairy fields. Time to take our lighter clothes and our picnic baskets, folks, for the cold winter days are now behind, and a whole new set of adventures awaits us right past the door. But first, let's not forget good manners. Shall we take a look at vocabulary and expressions selected for today's episode of Learn English with Fairytales? Yes, of course. Let's get started. Neighborhood. Neighborhood. It is a noun referring to a district forming a community in a town or a city. As in a sentence, in this neighborhood, there was once a woman who possessed a cottage. PIXIE. PIXIE. It is a noun referring to a magical creature from children's stories. As in a sentence, the pixies were so delighted in this spot. Lullaby. Lullaby. It is a noun referring to a gentle song sung to send a child to sleep. As in a sentence, often, at the dead hour of the night, a sweet lullaby was heard. Retain. Retain. It is a verb meaning to continue to have something. As in the sentence, the tulips retain their beauty much longer than any other flowers. To be plucked. To be plucked. It is an expression meaning to be removed. As in the sentence, she never suffered a single tulip to be plucked from its stem. At length. At length. It is an expression meaning after a long time. As in a sentence, at length, however, she died. To wither. To wither. It is a verb meaning become dry and or shriveled. As in a sentence, the pixies caused the parsley bed to wither away. To resent an injury. To resent an injury. It is an expression meaning to feel anger about something bad happened to you. As in a sentence, these prides, though eager in resenting an injury, were like most warm spirits. Unworthy. Unworthy. It is an adjective meaning not deserving attention or respect. As in a sentence, he was unworthy of trust. Solicited. Solicited. It is a noun meaning care for someone. As in a sentence, they tended the bed with affectionate solicitude. Mournful. Mournful. It is an adjective meaning feeling, expressing, or inducing sadness. As in the sentence, nor did they neglect to pay this mournful tribute to her memory every night. Sod. Sod. It is a noun referring to the surface of the ground with the grass growing on it. As in a sentence, the sod was evergreen. Now, fetch a glass and let me top it with my renowned elderberry tea. And here, take a slice of this rhubarb cake as well. I made it this morning. Excellent. Excellent. Now, have a seat and please listen to the story I am about to tell you. Near a pixie field in this neighborhood, there was once an old woman who possessed a cottage and a very pretty garden, wherein she cultivated a most beautiful bed of tulips. The pixies, tradition has it, were so delighted in the spot that they would carry their elfish babies there and sing them to rest. Often, at the dead hour of the night, a sweet lullaby was heard, and strains of the most melodious music would float in the air, that seemed to owe their origin to no other musicians than the beautiful tulips themselves. And whilst these delicate flowers waved their hats to the evening breeze, it sometimes seemed as if they were marking the time to their own singing. As soon as the elfish baby were lulled to sleep by such melodies, the pixies would return to the neighboring field, and there commence dancing, making those rings on the green which showed even to mortal eyes what sort of spins and twirls had occupied them during the night season. At the first dawn of light, the watchful pixies once more sought the tulips, and, though still invisible, could be heard kissing and caressing their babies. The tulips, thus favoured by a race of fairies, retained their beauty much longer than any other flowers in the garden. Whilst, though contrary to their nature, as the pixies breathed over them, they became as fragrant as roses. And so delighted at all this was the old woman who possessed the garden that she never suffered a single tulip to be plucked from its stem. At length, however, she died, and the hare who succeeded her destroyed the enchanted flowers and converted the spot into a parsley bed, a circumstance which so disappointed and offended the pixies that it caused it to wither away. And indeed, for many years, nothing would grow in the beds of the whole garden. But these sprites, though eager in resenting an injury, were, like most warm spirits, equally capable of returning a benefit. And if they destroyed the product of the good old woman's garden when it had fallen into unworthy hands, they tended the bed that robbed the clay with affectionate solicitude. For they were heard lamenting and singing sweet laments around her grave. Nor did they neglect to pay this mournful tribute to her memory every night before the moon was at the full. For then, their high solemnity of dancing, singing and rejoicing took place, to hail the queen of the night and completing a silver circle in the skies. No human hand ever tended the grave of the poor old woman who had nurtured the tulip bed for the delight of these elfin creatures. But no rank weed was ever seen to grow upon it. The sod was evergreen, and the prettiest flowers would spring up without sowing or planting. And so they continued to do, till it was supposed the mortal body was reduced to its original dust. Well, folks, don't know about you, but this story really set me in the mood for adventures, seeking fairies and magical creatures in the woods. I do feel sorry about the old woman, yet I found that the pixies really made it in the attempt at paying homage to her kindness, despite the tricks played on the poor hair of the woman. Thanks for sticking around, folks, and remember to support our work by sharing the podcast everywhere and with everybody, rating it, answering the polls where available, such as on Spotify, and visiting our website, our social media profiles, oh, by the way, and our brand new Ko-Fi page. You can find all the links in the description box of this episode. Greetings from the very bottom of our heart, happy springtime, and for seeing you, bye.